Danzon as a film stands out so far in this class by its different take on women. It is likely the feminist ideals that are present throughout the film is related to the ideals of director Maria Navarro. So far, Navarro is the first female Mexican director of a melodrama we've seen in class.
Danzon, the title of this film, is a type of music and dance that originates from Cuba. Although Danzon starts in Cuba, it is popular within the Latin American culture. This movie takes place in Mexico, and in the very first scene, you can see people's feet and the typical Danzon music playing. The beats in Danzon are very specific. It begins with an introduction with 4 bars and paso, also with 4 bars, following a 16-bar melody. The first scene shows a woman waiting there for a dance partner, and in Danzon, the introduction and paso usually repeat again before the melody starts to play, and usually people do not dance during these parts because this is their chance to go onto the dance floor and look for a partner, and they begin dancing at the same time at the 4th beat and 4th bar of the paso, and you can see this in the beginning scene when they both prop their feet up at the same time at the 4th beat and 4th bar. In this scene, you could see all types of people dancing. Danzon is portrayed as a dance that people of different ages and different classes enjoy doing. It's a way of life for most people, especially Julia, who takes dancing very seriously. The music is used metaphorically in the film to show that this is a part of their life and a part of their identity. Danzon music is both slow and fast, with the slow beats and the incorporation of the cha-cha-cha, which represents Julia's life because while she's in the city, her life seems fast-paced, but when she goes to Veracruz, her life seems to slow down. Throughout the movie, you can see that Julia enjoys dancing because it's something exciting in her life besides her usual work life. The music in the film follows that Danzon beat, and they create a sense of warmth as we follow Julia's journey to find Carmelo.
The film begins with a close-up of Julia's gray dance shoes. The camera pans slightly to the right to show the entrance of Carmelo's white dress shoes join Julia for a dance. These first few seconds demonstrate important aspects of each character, based on the elegance of their shoes and clothing in one of the dirtiest cities in Mexico. This shot tells us how important dancing is for Julia and Carmelo. It then pans around the room at floor level. We can see the camera panning with sensuality as we see the shoes of the dancing couples that are rhythmically dancing on the floor. This close-up of the characters' feet are used to show the importance of dancing in this culture. Also, the shoes of the dancing couple in the first sequence are far more eloquent than any conversation between characters. This close-up is only the start of Julia's cyclical journey. The second important close-up occurs when Julia steps foot in Santa Cruz. These first steps were the beginning of her adventure to find Carmelo, but we end up seeing the various inappropriate and predatory glances of the men, including Julia's reaction to these glances. Based on how Julia walks, talks, and presents herself, her composure tells us how independent and strong her personality is and that she deserves respect.
In Danzon, women are portrayed as strong, independent, and determined, as opposed to being objectified and being seen as needy, over-emotional, and overly sexual. A major part of the story is Julia and the other women having a job that is not dancing or of that nature. And on the subject of dancing, we've seen dance in many Spanish and Latin American films so far, but the dancing in Danzon is classy and traditional for once. The women dance for fun, not for money or sex. Julia as a character is a strong woman with many responsibilities, being a working single mother. Yet she's still stable. She keeps a good relationship with her daughter, her friends, and throughout the film completely develops a positive relationship with herself. This shows that not all women who are on their own are struggling, and love from a man is not necessary to be happy.
About 16 minutes into the movie, there is a scene in which Julia walks into a restaurant. When she first gets there, the frame is shot with the camera remaining outside the door while she enters. This perspective allows depth within the scene. The camera angle is purposeful. The words "Pase usted" are written outside the door, which means "come in." We see Julia entering the restaurant with the word "usted" visible at first and then blending into her dark skirt, and finally reappearing as she fully enters the room. Usted in the Spanish language is used as a formal way of saying you. Her entrance signifies that she is a woman who demands the respect of others, and she is worthy of being referred to as usted. While the camera is still outside of the restaurant, the shot shows the walls covered in black and white photographs. Once the scene transitions from outside the restaurant and into the restaurant, the camera only focuses on those pictures of women. Most of these pictures show pairs of women, none of which are directly looking into the camera. The women are mostly smiling. The lighting in some of these photographs even give the women a seductive look. All of these women are beautiful, some portrayed as dancers and some not. Julia is shown looking up at the photographs both before and after. The director uses a low-angle shot, looking up at Julia from below. This signifies Julia's longing to be one of those women, to be deserving of a picture frame on a wall in a restaurant. The song playing in the background is called Amar y Vivir, or To Love and to Live. Going along with the common theme of woman, the song is sung by a female artist. It's essentially about a woman longing to be with someone for the rest of her life. She doesn't want to waste time without her lover, even if he hurts her occasionally. During the very last seconds of the scene, the woman sings, Quiero gozar esta vida, teniéndote cerca de mí hasta que muera, which translates to, I want to enjoy this life, having you near me until I die. This line is sung with the camera focused on Julia's face, leading the viewers to believe she's the one looking for that everlasting love.
Next close-up occurs when Julia is shown dancing barefoot and alone at the beach after she runs away from a persistent male that was flirting with her. Thereafter, she meets a transvestite named Susie, who she eventually teaches and practices Danzon. As Julia is teaching Susie how to dance, a close-up of their feet shows the two dancers barefoot and facing in the same direction. This indicates a dilemma in which neither of them are sure who ought to lead. She then explains to her new dance partner that the glances of man and woman should not address directly to each other during the first dance, or at least until she and her partner are completely aware of their desire.
Though Julia starts the film as somewhat dependent towards Carmelo, she grows into a woman who is not defined by men or relationships. She searches Mexico City and Veracruz distraughtly for Carmelo as if longing for him. From being dance partners for years, Julia has developed an attachment to him strong enough that she even makes friends who try and help her find him. While in Veracruz with no luck, Julia makes many friends and memories. There is even a scene where she dances with another man, though she said she would never after Carmelo left. Then she meets another man and begins a relationship. The film makes it seem like she has gotten over Carmelo. However, Julia leaves this man and her pursuit for Carmelo behind for herself. The last scene in the film is of her back in the dance club dancing the Danzon. She is happy with herself and to be dancing in Mexico City.
Similar to earlier scenes where Julia is subject to catcalls and judged by her beauty, these shots of naked women suggest how women can be objectified by men and society, both figuratively and literally, as they are objects of decoration on the wall. Navarro uses Julia and Danzon to contradict this idea of women as a showpiece. Maria Navarro uses Julia to portray a strong female role throughout Danzon. In the beginning scenes, we are introduced to her character, a single working mother who also makes time to dance. In this scene, Julia is in Veracruz to find her long-lost dance partner, Carmelo. As her new friend Susie is performing in the show, the camera focuses on various sculptures of women. Each sculpture shows a woman undressed for all to see. The use of glance shots are used frequently in this scene, as the camera follows Julia's eyes. We first watch as Susie performs, and then the first sculpture is seen as the camera pans down to Julia. The shot is comparing the naked woman to Julia, and the director is trying to convey that Julia is just as independent and beautiful on the inside as the sculpture may seem on the surface. The camera then catches Julia looking away from Susie's performance and to something off-screen. Here, a glance shot is used to follow Julia's gaze and see that she is staring at another naked woman's sculpture. These glance shots help in developing a form of metafiction, which is based on seeing and being seen. Julia is seeing these sculptures, and this suggests that she is beginning to self-discover and question how she is seen by people, and even possibly questioning what makes her attractive to men like Carmelo.
The color red is distributed throughout the movie in multiple scenes where even a little bit of dancing is shown. Typically, the color red in Spanish film is a symbol for whorehouses or escorts, as we can see later in the movie when the crossdresser questions why Julia would like a color that represents whores. And the red shade in Danzon symbolizes passion more than anything else. For Julia, it's a symbol for her passion of dance. The first place we see a red dress is about 8 minutes and 40 seconds in, where a high-angle shot is taking place with Julia looking over everyone dancing. Here we can see Julia glancing at men who wear white suits, which is similar to what Carmelo would wear. He was a man that Julia loved and would always wear a white hat and have a lovely smile. The red dress we see in the scene will set the mood for the movie, where we will see more red in the form of lighting and clothing. The next scene where we see red is at a club with a sign that says Los Angeles. We see Julia reject a man because she was wishing that it was Carmela who asked her to dance. The red shade we see shows the lingering passion that Julia has for dance. Even in the scene after Julia states that she has stopped dancing, Julia is shown with little bits of red. For example, when Julia is on the beach with a predominantly white dress, she still has little red flowers, showing that she still has a passion for dance underneath the emotional pain she has for Carmelo. In the scene where there is a red lighthouse, we see Julia in a red dress as she throws a message in a bottle out into the ocean. By throwing the message into the bottle, Julia is letting go of Carmelo as she lets her true passion of dance return, shown by the excessive redness in the picture. At one point, Julia is blended into the red lighthouse as it fills up the whole screen. This shows the overflowing passion that Julia regains as she has gotten over Carmelo.
In the end, Julia returns to her city and reunites with Carmelo. This time, we are able to see a full shot of the two dancers, and after Julia's long journey, she is finally able to look Carmelo in the eyes. This signifies the completion of her search for identity and personal revelation.